blind musician from Charlestown is on a mission to reconnect with the so-called goddess of pop. Connor Wink first met Cher 8 years ago, and recently his cover version of one of her greatest hits put them back in touch.
It was this recording that caught Cher's attention. Connor Wink learned to play guitar entirely by touch, and his voice is something else. His soulful rendition of Believe recently prompted pop icon and Academy Award winner Cher to reach out to him on Twitter, calling it gentle and heartbreaking. And it's not the first time she's interacted with her biggest fan. When Connor was 11 years old, he saw her live in concert.
We were in Las Vegas, seeing her live at Caesar's Palace after a month of stem cell treatment in China.
Prior to that, the youngster had been performing her songs on the streets to raise money for his own medical treatment.
I busked at Charlestown Square near the food court every week or once a fortnight.
And he was no one-hit wonder.
Bit of Cher, bit of Bee Gees.
This year, Cher makes her long-awaited return to Australia, performing at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre on September 26. Connor's already booked his tickets, and he's hoping to turn back time.
I hope I can talk to you again after your show in Newcastle, because that'd be cool.
Jacinta Lee, NBN News.
Later tonight, the Hunters Mental Health Community Choir marking a special milestone.
But next, the super typhoon batters China, claiming more victims.
Searching for Ripper value? Right now at Red Rooster, you can get a half Ripper roll, small chips, and a 250ml Coke for just $5. Red Rooster.
Surprisingly powerful acceleration. Toyota Hybrid.
With IONet's limitless broadband data, there's no end to what you can watch, stream, or download. And it's just $69.99 a month on a 24-month plan!
Release your internet's potential with IONet, the #1 in customer service.
Style up your kitchen with the good guys. Claim up to $300 cash back on big brand kitchen appliances. Plus, get it on 5 years interest-free. Loads of value deals in-store and online. Only at the good guys.
We go the distance. We cover the ground. From harvest to home, off-road to office, this is your journey, and we're driven for growth. We're part of the fabric, part of the future, proven in performance. With Aussafe Super, we're with you all the way, because your tomorrow starts today. Aussafe Super, the industry super fund for rural and regional Australia.
The feet have a really big impact on how the rest of the body moves. The knees, the hips, the lower back especially. If the foot isn't properly aligned, all of these joints are going to function incorrectly. That results in a lot of muscle tension and chronic pain. What I really like about the Good Feet system is that the right arch supports can put the foot in its proper alignment. So all the joints of the rest of the body will be aligned properly as well. And when the body's aligned, we can reduce the risk of injury and chronic pain.
See if they work for you at Good Feet Store Katara.
For over 65 years, Solar Heart has been helping Australians reduce their energy bills. And right now, we'll also help you with 4 years interest-free on solar hot water, solar power, and battery storage. Talk to Solar Heart today. Searching for Ripper value? Right now at Red Rooster, you can get a half Ripper roll, small chips, and a 250ml Coke for just $5. Red Rooster.
The strongest storm on Earth this year has barreled through Hong Kong and southern China, ripping apart buildings, flooding streets and displacing millions of people.
The death toll from the typhoon has now risen to 65 in the Philippines, with dozens of others still missing under landslides.
They brace for a typhoon. First punch came from a tornado. When an ocean view can be a liability. Yumcha at the Sheraton Shenzhen near Hong Kong. A hotel lobby, deserted, turned into a wave pool. Shell-shocked locals hit social media with image after image. 190 kilometres an hour can be hard to imagine. This is what it looks and sounds like. With wind speed so strong, a brolly can act like a sail. Pounding seas and a tornado is scary enough. Almost just as bad when you look at the apartment high-rise next door and notice it's gently swaying. Bamboo scaffolding peeled off building sites. Anything flimsy was bowled over with ease. Windows were blown out from office buildings. One war-torn high-rise left looking like it had been shelled. And trees that had stood for years uprooted like they were saplings. China's meteorological service called it the king of storms, and still people risk their lives outside. Hong Kong somehow managed to avoid mass casualties, unlike the Philippines, where Bangkok struck first. Dozens have been killed in landslides there, and rescuers are still digging through the mud. They're searching for a group of miners and their families who hid in a chapel during the storm, which is now buried under a collapsed mountain. The storm has now been downgraded from typhoon status. It's heading west and should brush the border now with North Vietnam. Mark Burrows, NBN News.
The strawberry sabotage alarm has spread across the Tasman, one of New Zealand's leading supermarket chains taking Australian strawberries off the shelves. Police have also today confirmed the discovery of needles in punnets of the fruit in Guyra and Inverell on the New South Wales northern tablelands. Aldi stores, however, are now preparing to return strawberries from some suppliers to their shelves following advice from food safety officials.
Finance giant AMP has admitted to the Banking Royal Commission it charged dead customers life insurance premiums. It's another embarrassing admission for the company, which has already lost senior executives following earlier hearings.
It's a pretty basic proposition about life insurance.
Stopping the premiums being charged when you're notified that the person's dead seems a rather obvious step, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But not obvious enough, apparently. In one case study, AMP was notified in February 2015 that a client had died, but by the middle of the following year was still charging them premiums. The Commissioner, somewhat exasperated, wanting it made clear what AMP was doing.
Charging premiums for life insurance to someone who's dead. That's the position, isn't it?
Yes, that's the way the system is treating it today.
Executive Paul Sainsbury's excuse was the AMP computer system, coded to only stop charging premiums not when a claim was lodged, but when it was finalised, then reimburse any overcharge.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it's not the best way in my opinion.
And it gets worse. More than 4,500 AMP clients were found to have been charged premiums after death, totalling $1.3 million, and that wasn't reimbursed. AMP conceded that charging dead people for life insurance is in breach of their legal responsibilities. But despite being aware of it since 2016, they've yet to report it to the corporate regulator. Meanwhile, the Royal Commission casualties mount up. ASIC has taken civil penalty action against Terry McMaster, who collapsed in the stand, giving evidence about the now-defunct Dover Group. And NAB's head of wealth, Andrew Haggart, has quit over the bank's fee-for-no-service scandal. Former New South Wales Premier Mike Baird taking over his customer Labor's role.
The Liberal Party has been rocked by fresh bullying accusations, which look set to cost another female MP. Anne Sudmalis today confirmed she won't recontest her seat south of Sydney, despite several pleas from Prime Minister Scott Morrison for her to change her mind.
Going down. The Prime Minister is losing yet another woman from the already thin female lines in the Liberals' ranks. As 9 News reported on Saturday, Anne Sudmalis will join Julia Banks in not recontesting her ultra-marginal New South Wales seat at the next election, and also citing bullying as the problem. Scott Morrison says that charge is not being levelled at her federal colleagues.
When I've spoken to people specifically, it actually referred to what was happening back in their state divisions of the Liberal Party.
Anne Sudmalis says her decision has been made after 6.5 years of holding my pledge to be a team player in the face of New South Wales Liberal Party bullying, intimidation, leaking and undermining at a local level.
If Anne Sudmalis has decided to retire, I wish her the best of luck.
Another woman retiring amid allegations of bullying will only feed the perception that the Liberal Party is hostile to women. And the Prime Minister has asked the party to fix its system for complaints.
It is rigorous and is confidential.
But Scott Morrison has an even larger problem with angry voters, and he's trying to stem some of the bleeding there with his Royal Commission into aged care. But Labor is questioning the Coalition's record.
How did cutting $1.2 billion from aged care support the dignity of vulnerable older Australians?
In 2 rounds of budget cuts starting at the end of 2015, the government stripped $1.7 billion from aged care funding.
I don't want to fight about this issue, I want to fix it.
And it needs fixing. Chris Ullman, NBN News.